Hi, welcome back everybody, it's Mike Newton down here at Lytham Golf Academy. I've got a low spin driver head-to-head battle video for you today, and two of the big boys with the Callaway Epic Flash Sub-Zero driver, and I'm going to put it up against the new Ping G410 LST, the low spin driver. So two very similar shafts, same lofts, both in the low spin category of the drivers. We're going to test them against each other, GC code on the floor as always, give you some data and also some personal feedback of the feel and the performance of these particular drivers. So just before we jump into the video, if you're a regular viewer and you haven't hit that subscribe button, very much appreciate it if you can do, and also just ring that bell so then as soon as I put a video out you'll be one of the very first ones to watch it. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. I'm Mike Newton, lots of golf content coming your way, club comparisons, club reviews, golf swing tips and much more, so again consider hitting that subscribe button. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Epic Flash Sub-Zero. So one of the big drivers of 2019 from Callaway, as you always tend to sort of see, and we've seen Sub-Zero in the past, and it's the low spin version. So we've got that weighted screw at the back which can make it in more draw, neutral or fade biased. And then we've got that weighted screw at the front section which is trying to push CG further forward, again trying to make it a little bit more low spinning version than the standard Flash driver. So got this set at 9 degrees, just neutral on its setting there. And we're going to hit some shots and see how this performs. Okay, quite a nice sort of straight opening shot there. Just cut that a little bit on that heel. Won't be the longest, I don't think. Yeah, 290. Definitely had longer out of the Sub-Zero, but again, just strike's going to just outweigh that. Was a little bit in that heel side. That was a much better strike. Pretty neutral in its flight again, yeah. So there's that extra sort of carry you can see there, trundling over that 300 mark, 302. So much better on that strike on that one. And again, you know, looks to be going quite forward on its flight. That spun there just under 2,200. So for me, when I get it into that controlled area, I can see that more penetrating flight that sort of just flattens off at the peak of its trajectory. So going through the looks of the Sub-Zero, I think it's a great looking drive. It's a very nice sort of rounded sort of shape to it. Just that little sort of edging of that yellow and green at the back edge, a little bit of that carbon effect at that back quarter of the crown, and just got that little line that sits sort of parallel about an inch or so back from that leading edge. So it's very nicely sort of, it looks to be sort of quite square behind the ball, black, gloss black finish. Really nice sort of look to it. It's a good strike again. Yeah, I think the sound with the Flash is, you know, it was one thing that surprised me a little bit on the actual review. When I first tested it, I was quite surprised how loud it was in comparison to the original Epic, which was, I thought, was quite a muted, dull sort of sound, which I quite like personally. Flash was a little bit sort of louder, a little bit more explosive there, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but me, I actually preferred a little bit of that more muted sort of sound, acoustic wise, to it. Now, I've only just actually looked at that flight on the simulator. I've obviously watched the flight down the range there. I thought, oh, that's quite nice and straight. And then I was chatting away and I didn't actually watch the screen there, and it's about a foot short of going in actually the hole absolutely arrow straight. So that's quite a nice shot there. So let's hit another one with this Sub-Zero. I don't think I can follow that one, to be fair, but we'll give it a go. That's not bad, lovely strike again. I love the flight of that. Definitely seems just to keep going through that air. That's a good long hit, that one. Yeah, that's getting out at 316. Always know his potential of hitting around that mark with these more low spin drivers for me personally. Again, you've maybe got to go and test these yourselves and see where your spin sits. Some people are naturally quite a low spinner of the golf ball, so something like a low spin driver probably isn't a great option because you'll just see that ball just really drop out of the sky. And also maybe just to look at where you are as a strike pattern. So if you tend to hit more of that high or high toe section of the face, you'll tend to pull spin off. So again, you probably don't want to be going too low spin because again, the spin will drop off too much. So again, you've got to go and get tested on a launch monitor yourselves. Okay, let's jump into the G410 LST. We'll see how that stacks up against the Flash. Okay, so G410 LST, so recently launched. Obviously G410 as a family came out early this year in 2019. LST was a little bit late to the party, but is now arrived. So it's that low spin sort of head. So 450cc head, so it's 10cc less than what we see in the Epic. Epic is 460, so a slightly smaller head, and probably just see that fractionally, not a massive amount to be honest. 10cc is not a lot, and obviously that can be shaped in many different ways, so as a visual sometimes you don't actually see that. Probably if anything I might just see it, I don't know, I might be picking at this just a little bit from that front to the back, a little bit more neater on the Ping. Obviously it's a more matte black finish with a Ping, with the turbulators, very different look to what we see with the Flash. Okay, let's get one underway. Big fan of the Ping, do like it. I've got a G400 LST in my bag at the moment. I do like this LST also. Be interesting to see how this stacks up with a spin. That's a lovely opening tee shot. Just a slight bit of right to left on that. Very nice shape, very straight. It's neutral. That's running onto that green, so just touching up to that. Yeah, just shot that 300 mark. So nice little opening shot there with the Ping. Nice little right to left shape on it. So again, what we see with the Ping is adjustability in the neck. I've got this as a 9-degree head set at 9 degrees, the same as the Sub-Zero. We've got that weight in the back section that we obviously see in the Sub-Zero also, which is now movable into draw and fade. So very similar to what they're doing here. But there's no front weight section here that we also, or that we do see in the Callaway. So, and then we know that weight on the Ping in the G410 is 16 grams. It's a pretty hefty weight there. So I would probably say, and obviously I've hit this before, I don't get this as low spin for me personally. Again, strike, we know we'll change that a little bit. But I think with that weight in that back section, yes, there's probably some internal weighting difference that's making it a little bit more sort of forward CG, I'm guessing, but it's not as a visual that we would actually see. So with the Flash, we see that weight in that screw in that front section as well as the back section. Again, love the strike, just turning that over a little bit. Seems to get a little bit more right to left on that shot with the Ping. Again, nice hit there, 303 yards. Yeah, it's good. A little bit low in the club face there. I reckon that'll drop off a little bit. Yeah, there we go, so 288. Looked great through the air, did that, to be fair. But I can sort of just tell when it gets to that peak, when I've hit it a little bit lower, I know that's going to increase a little bit of spin there. So yeah, that's up to 3,000, that spin. That's through strike, mainly there. But I think there's also a little bit of that weighting in the head. I tend to always see a slightly lower spin model with that Sub-Zero in the Callaway. You know, maybe more than what I see in the actual Ping. That's a good hit. That was a little bit of a better strike there. I reckon that'll be a little bit low spin. I reckon I'll squeeze a bit more out of that. Lovely and straight. It's pretty much a line ball, so he's 298. So I've not had one in near the Sub-Zero at 316. Okay, so there's some shots hit with each of those clubs. Let's go look at some numbers in a little bit more detail and see how the LST stacks up to that Sub-Zero. Okay, so number time, we're going to look at the Flash on the top against the G410. So ball speed 162.8 average with the Flash against 161.7. So literally 1 mile an hour quicker that Sub-Zero coming off that club face. We know maybe strike might just change that fractionally, could switch that around the other way, so hardly anything in it. Launch pretty identical around that 10-degree mark. Spin just a little bit lower with that Sub-Zero there, so you see 2314 and then 2532. Just had that 3000 one there I called before. That was like a little bit low in the face sort of strike, and you can see my first one with the Sub-Zero, which was a little bit heely. Tends to always see that spin just pop up a little bit at sort of 26,500. So let's just give that little bit of difference between those two. Tend to see Sub-Zero to be a little bit more low spin for me personally. Which I'm sort of seeing in that comparison. So peaking out there, fraction lower in its flight, so I think that spin would just come out a little bit lower, just flatten that peak of the flight off a little bit more there, so you're at 28 yards against 30. And descent angle then changed at 34 against 36 as it comes into land in degrees. Carry distance 279, Sub-Zero 274 LST. Okay guys, so there we go. There's, for me, two really good drivers there. Maybe the Flash just edging it in terms of being a little bit lower spinning, fraction more speed, but not a massive deal in it between those two drivers. I think the personal preference might come down to it for maybe a lot of you guys, but also just see where your, as I mentioned before in the video, where your strike sits. Is it high in the face? Is it toe in the face? Comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Do you know where you actually hit it on the club face? That's a great question, and a lot of golfers I tend to see through fittings, through lessons, aren't quite sure where they're actually hitting it on that club face. And with driver, it makes a huge difference in regards to gear effect, how the ball launches, and also how then the ball actually spins. So interesting to know, and you know, comment down below. So if you're a little bit higher in that ball strike in the face, or a little bit toe, you'll probably pull a bit of spin off. So sometimes going to low spin driver might be too severe. You might just see them drop out of the sky too much. You might have to go more in a standard head, which is with a CG further back, a little bit higher spin, a little bit higher launching possibly. So again, it always shows the importance of you going out and getting fitted. There's a lot of neck settings, as we know, weight movability in the head. We've got shaft option galore. So even though you've really got to go and get out there with a good fitter, launch monitor, test it and see what works best in comparing multiple drivers at once in one session, I would say. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Appreciate watching as always. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. Very much appreciate it. Ring the bell for notifications of any future videos. Follow up on social media platforms, both Instagram and Twitter. And the handles there are @MN Golf Coach. And hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.